All right, guys. So we are all done with day one of the Wealthy Trustee Workshop. So today we went and reviewed the business trust. So we set up our business trust. So we went and broke down every single paragraph of the trust and we filled it out and customized it for our specific trust organization. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and open up the floor for Q&A so that I'm able to answer any and all questions that you guys might have based on the information that we went over today, based on the business trust. So you can go ahead and raise your hand. Let me get myself off here. All right, I see Stacy.
Hey, Christina, how are you?
Hey. Great, how are you?
I am great. Thank you again for this. So I've got quite a few questions, but I'll limit it to two just to start to give other people a chance. First one is I noticed that we're putting the state and the county of where we're operating the trust in this trust document. But when it comes to notarizing, does it have to be notarized in the same county that the trust is, as the same county as the address? Or can it be notarized in a different county?
So it can be notarized in a different county from the address, and you want to put the actual county where it's being notarized. So you don't have to put the county where the trust address is. You have to put the county where it's being notarized.
Okay. Is that throughout the entire document when we're adding the address, or is that just in the area, the signature area?
That's just in the signature area where you see a notary where they're going to sign and seal. That's where if you see that there's a county there, it's specific to the county where the notary is going to notarize the signature.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And my next question, so I was thinking of using my brother-in-law as a grantor because he has a different name, a different family name. But then as I was thinking about people that we trust, I was also going to put my sister as one of our board of trustee members. And the grantor, my brother-in-law, would be her husband. So would that present a conflict?
No, it wouldn't. So as long as it's not, as long as there's no relationship between the grantor and the trustee as far as like marriage and stuff, then that's fine. Um, so
Okay,
yeah, there's no issue there.
because she's not technically a trustee, you're saying she's just a board of trustee.
Board. Yep, you're
Oh,
fine.
now if I wanted her to also be a successor trustee, would that then present a problem, a
Yes.
conflict?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Stacy. All right, next we have Maria.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure if I understood this or not, but I'll just give you my scenario so I can try to understand it better. I have I know who I want my grantor to be. Um but my trust members and my beneficiaries, can they be the same? So I have my daughter, my older daughter that I would like to also be the successor of the trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I also would like her to be on the trust, like a part of the trust members. Is that okay? Is that acceptable? If she's a
Yes.
beneficiary?
Yeah. Okay, so let's just break it down. So your daughter, she can be a beneficiary and a successor. She can also be a successor and a board member, but she cannot be a beneficiary and a board member. So she can't be all three.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
So when, so
yeah,
when we're
so
limited to, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
So, so potentially she can't serve on the board if you have her as the beneficiary and the successor.
Okay, but she could be two of them. She could either be the trustee, a successor or a trust member.
Correct. So she can be a board member and a successor, or she can be a successor and a beneficiary.
Okay. Now, in any combination, so like my older other children, can they be a beneficiary and a trust member?
No, beneficiary and board members cannot be the same person.
Gotcha. So when you're limited of when you're limited to a few that you want to be inside your trust, you still have to have outside trust members.
Yeah. So you still have to, so you can determine how many you want. Like I said, if you want 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, it's up to you how many people can serve on your board. You just have to specify it inside of the actual trust. Okay, so change those numbers from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. But yeah, those are individuals that are there to assist. So they can't be beneficiaries.
Okay. So for a trust member, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get it right. So for if I have the grantor, can they have any other role?
No,
Like on a trust as a trust member?
the grantor can only serve as the grantor. They cannot serve in any other capacity.
Okay. And the same as okay. So if I have two, me being the first trustee and my husband, um, will that serve as 2 trust members?
Can you say that? Can you say that again?
If me and my husband are the first trustees, the first and second trustees, are we consider can we be considered as a trust member?
Automatically. That's correct.
Automatically. Okay, so
Both
we
you
would just
guys
need
are
one more.
automatic. Correct. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
if you set it for your board to be 3, you would need one more. If you set it for your board to be 2, then your board is done.
And then that trust member could be just anybody.
If you set it for you to have 3 board members, then it would be you, your spouse, and a third person. If you wanted your board to only be 2 people, then the 2 people that you have now, which is you and your spouse, are your board. That's it. Your board is done.
Okay. Can you have multiple successors?
Yeah, you can have a secondary nominee. So you can have a first nominee and a secondary nominee if the first nominee is not available.
Okay. And then the grantor and the treasurer are absolutely 2 different people.
The grantor is one person, and they cannot serve in any other capacity. That's
Okay,
it.
so when
they can
when
only
you
be
were
a
saying that they need to fund the account, that's still not the grantor position?
No, so the grantor is gonna hand $1 to the trustee. The trustee is then have to go ahead and create a bank account and put that dollar into the bank account. If you have a treasurer, then they'll hand it to the treasurer, and the treasurer will then go deposit it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's where my confusion was coming in. Okay. I'm going to allow somebody else and then I'll ask another question in a
Okay,
second.
awesome.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, next we have Tamika.
Hi.
Hey, Tamika.
Shoot. So I created a trust already in Louisiana. Now I'm living in Maryland and I want to go and get an EIN for it. In the earlier stages of the trust creation, we were putting where it was set up at. So now that I'm in another location, Maryland, vice Louisiana, do I need to go and update or change those documents, change the location on my trust documents from Louisiana to Maryland?
So it's up to you if you want to change the domicile of the trust.
Okay, so because I know you mentioned before it had to be where you reside. So if I'm no longer residing in,
Oh, no. So I said the opposite. I said it
okay.
doesn't have to be where you reside. You can choose
Um,
anywhere.
Thank you, thank you,
So
thank you.
so
I missed
I
it.
choose Florida and I don't live in Florida.
Thank you for that. Misheard. Okay, appreciate the clarification. One more thing. If the grantor and the trustee are in two separate locations, which means they will have to have two different notaries, we just add that second notary to the certificate of trust?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was all my questions.
You're welcome, Tamika. Next, we have Cece.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm wondering what happens if you have a grantor to get get the ball rolling and then you're out of touch with that grantor later.
Out of touch. I mean, so it depends, right? You don't need the grantor. So there's two things that you need from the grantor. So one, you need them to execute the trust. So have they signed the trust already? Hopefully so. If they haven't signed the trust, then you need to choose a new grantor. If they've signed the trust and it's already executed, then you need their information in order to apply for the EIN, because the IRS is going to label them as the responsible party for applying for the EIN. Sometimes when you go to open up a bank account, they will ask for the grantor's information as well. They want their name, their email, not their email. They want their name, their address, and their phone number. And sometimes they'll ask you for their social as well. Not all the time, not every bank, but some banks. So it depends on the bank that you go with. And that's it. So if you already have your EIN, your bank account, you don't need the grantor for anything. So if you lose touch with them, you do. Some people will sometimes ask, well, what if the grantor dies? The trust is designed for the grantor to die. So the trust is designed to outlive the grantor. So if you need to prove anything dealing with the grantor, meaning, hey, I don't have their information, here's a death certificate, right? But you would just generally have to tell whoever the third party is. But generally the only third party that will ask is the banks. They'll ask. So you let them know that you don't have their information and they have to proceed with opening up the bank account, or sometimes they'll decline to open up the bank account and then you just have to go with a different bank. Or if the grantor no longer exists, you provide them with a death certificate.
Okay, and then if you're not going to utilize a protector in the trust, is that just any section in the document that we just went over? We just edit that out, or should we leave it, but there be no protector assigned?
Yeah, so the protector is not a required position. I personally will leave it. Just in case in the near future, 50 years into the future, maybe that trustee or maybe those board members will then decide, or maybe even you will then decide, hey, now is the time to appoint a protector. But if you don't want it, delete the entire section. The entire section.
Okay, and with us naming our trust, what is there to, we don't need to do like a fictitious name search for our trust. So if there's 15 people out there with the same name of their holding company, that doesn't matter?
Yeah, so one, you don't have to do a name search. You can use any name that you want. Two, the name that you choose is copywritten under common law. And three, there are this already exists to where there are a lot of companies with the same name, right? It just depends on their jurisdiction, right? So for you, you have to have other identifying like information. So for example, if your name for your trust is ABC Trust, there's another name named ABC Trust. Well, what's the difference is your address, your EIN. It's just like regular life, right? There are hundreds of people with my name, but what's the difference between me and them is my address, my social security, things like that. That's what differentiates.
Okay, and last question. This trust that we were just going over, is this the first one to establish, or do we establish the family trust, the ministry trust? Like if this is going to be the holding trust, does the holding trust come first or does it come later?
Yeah, so everybody's situation is different. Some people don't have businesses and they don't have investments and they don't choose to open up or create a business trust first. So this is how we do it, just by hierarchy. So we'll do our business trust first, and then we'll do our family, and then we'll do our ministry. You should do it by what's important to you and based off of your assets, right? But if you want to just follow the program, this is the way we have it. So the program is that you set up the business trust first, the family trust second, and the ministry trust third. A lot of people, all of their assets, not all, but majority of their assets are going to be placed into the family trust. And so they'll set up the family trust first. I recommend that people just do it simultaneously. So you see how we're just doing everything together? It's like you're going to set up all of them together. Because
Perfect, thank you.
it's three entities that you're setting up. And so I don't think that if you're going to set up all three, do it simultaneously versus one by one, because that's 3 trips to the bank. That's 3 times that you got to go to the notary. That's 3 times that you have to do all this stuff versus just doing all 3 at one time.
Okay, thank you. And I'm a notary in Miami. If anyone else is a notary in Miami and wants to get together for our notarizations.
That's perfect. Are you on the volunteer list? Because we have a list, like just like what you said right now. So you can add yourself to the list of notaries. We have a list of notaries. We have a list of people that will serve as your grantor, as a board member for your trustees, things like that. So you could put yourself on there. You can put yourself on there and then everyone in Miami can contact you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next we have Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Oh my God.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff, are you still available? I heard your voice for a split second.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. Hey, Jeff.
Okay, it wouldn't let me unmute. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
So, thank you for this. I appreciate it.
You're
I learned a
welcome.
lot. I got about a 7,369 trillion questions, but I'm gonna just cut it to a few because I know you got a lot of folks trying to help.
Yeah.
So the trust, today's trust, the business trust, you noted that it's a holder of all the other trusts. Is that how we're setting this up?
So no, so it depends. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the business trust, you can operate it as a holding company, and it'll hold all your other legal entities. Meaning that it can, if you have other trusts, it can hold other trusts. If you have an LLC, if you have a corporation, it can hold those entities as well. So you can treat it as a holding company. That's how you operate it. So you have to choose how you want to operate the business trust. There's two ways for you to operate the business trust. You can either operate it as a business. So for example, let's just say I want to go do real estate investing. Then I'm gonna call it, MC Homes, and then I'm gonna go start flipping houses tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
So I can operate it as a business where it's fully operational. I have people on payroll. I have an entire, a service that I'm providing. Or you can choose to operate it as a holding company where there are no products, there are no services, and all you're doing is holding other entities.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense to me. So the other question I had was, can the trustees be beneficiaries of the trust?
Yes, they can be beneficiaries. They just cannot be the only beneficiary. So you can't have only one trustee and one beneficiary. There has to be other
Right.
beneficiaries there as well.
Okay. Sorry, I got a whole, I'm trying to cut down my questions. Um, and the grantor, can they be a beneficiary of the trust?
They cannot. The grantor cannot be anything but the grantor.
Okay, they're one and done, basically.
Correct.
Put it in my North Carolina language. Um, and there was one more question. I'll just do this one. Um, you noted, in the document it had 25 years, but you put yours as 100 years. Is there a particular reason why someone wouldn't just note it as, as long as it can be, as far as the length, the life of the trust?
So trusts need to have an expiration date.
Hmm.
So I generally tell people you want to choose, as long as possible, just to minimize how many renewals or extensions you have to do. So that's why I changed it from 25 to 100, because just imagine within that 100 years, I've done one extension versus if I chose 25, that would have been 3 or 4 extensions.
Right. I was just wondering if there was a reason somebody wouldn't pick 100 years that way, but you give the rights to the successors to change it. That's the other question I had. So you noted about the oh God, I can't the certificates. I'm drawing a blank and I'm sorry. And the holders of the certificates can pass it on to their heirs. In order to pass it on to their heirs, do they have to have do they have to have a trust or will? And I know will is a bad word, but do they have to have something to say, hey, here's my certificates, and if and or when, or let me back up, when I go, and this goes to my middle child who gets 80%, because you said the middle child only got 20% in your scenario. Um, but how do they pass that along?
Yeah, so this is how it works. When you have heirs, they will automatically go to your heirs.
Hmm.
If you didn't list anybody, if you listed it, and it'll be, it'll be done equally. But if you listed your heirs, then they'll go to your heirs based off of how you listed it, like you said, right?
Hmm.
So you can be specific. So if I have 10 units and I want this one to get 3, this one to get 4, and this one to get the rest, then that's how it'll work.
Hmm.
The heirs to the TCUs holders. So what happens is those TCUs were in your name, and so now your TCUs are redistributed into their names, right? So now
Hmm.
those were split into the other 3 individuals. Those individuals don't have to have a trust. They're just gonna receive the TCUs in their personal name, and eventually if they get one, then they can transfer it. So there can be a transfer upon request. But if they don't have it, that's completely fine. They're gonna hold the TCUs in their name.
Got it. Okie dokie. I got about 100 more, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you get on to the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, next we have Mia.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I am good, thank you. Okay, so a couple of things. You said that you have yours down in Florida. Is there a reason for that?
So I'm from Florida, so that's
Oh,
why.
okay.
That's why I was there. So that was my residency when I set it up.
Okay, I was curious about that because I've done some research in terms of states, and it
Yeah.
seems like South Dakota is a really good state for a couple of reasons. But then I
Yeah.
didn't know if I chose South Dakota, I'm in Iowa. And so if I
Mm.
chose South Dakota, then I would actually have to travel there to get everything notarized there, correct?
No, it doesn't have to be notarized there. So
Oh,
you
it
just,
doesn't.
yeah, so inside of your trust indenture, you need to identify the domicile as South Dakota, and then you need a South Dakota address for the residency. Those are the two things that are required in order for you to choose South Dakota. It can be notarized
Okay.
anywhere.
Okay, so then I was confused then when you had at those last pages where you had the state and you had Florida and then you had the county. I thought that that's where it had to be notarized.
Yes, that's correct. So that section is only for the notary. So if where did you say you were?
So I'm in Iowa,
Okay, so
but I
you're
was
gonna get
thinking about
notary. You're gonna
setting these up through South Dakota.
Correct. So where you see state and county, that's only for the notary section. That's only
Okay.
that section. So you would put Iowa and you would put the county where you're actually getting it notarized. And then you are gonna sign and the notary is gonna sign and seal.
Okay. Even though if the state is or the domicile is going to be South Dakota.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Everything has to be properly labeled. So don't put your domicile and your address as Iowa, okay?
You're my domicile, and then I would have to go through like postal one to get a South Dakota address.
Correct.
Okay. And then I just have a couple other questions here. So one of them is can the successor trustee also be the same person that handles the bookkeeping and accounting?
Yes, absolutely. So they're going to be, for example, today, right now, that person is going to serve as a treasury role, but you
Okay.
have appointed them as your successor. When you resign, then they are going to transition. They're still going to be a part of the board, but now they're no longer a treasurer. Now they have transitioned into being a trustee. You had them as the successor. Now
Okay.
they're no longer their successor. Now they're the acting trustee because you have stepped down. They're still a part of the role. They're still a part of the board because because they are a trustee, but no longer acting as a treasurer. So that position is now vacant.
Okay. All right. And then last but not least, but so the majority of my income comes from real estate. I have a couple of real estate properties. And so I'm curious, one of them I just actually sold and I still kind of have them in an LLC bank account. Can I dissolve that LLC and then move the funds that are in there into this business trust?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Okay.
the way that we move funds is through, so you can gift it or you can document it as a loan. So because it's a business, I would document it as your LLC is loaning whatever 100,000 to the business trust, and then you dissolve the LLC. And so now the business trust has a tax-free loan from a business for 100,000.
Okay. And then I have a few other real estate properties and they each have their own LLC. And so when I was kind of looking at your syllabus for some of the other trusts we're going to be working on. And so I'm wondering, is it best to have each of the real estate rentals that I have in a separate business trust, or else have them allocated towards a ministerial trust?
So it's up to you. So if this is your business, then you can have them in a separate business trust. So you definitely want those properties to be housed, or you want those properties to be held in the name of the trust versus in the name of the LLC, because they're going to end up in probate the way that you have it structured right now. And then the
Correct.
LLC can still be the like property manager of the or managing that property, but the owner is the business trust. Now, if you want to put it inside of the ministry trust, you can. That's optional. So for the ministry trust, it would be one property per trust, and you're already structured that way, so that's fine. You just need to obviously create multiple of them.
Okay, and so if I understand correctly, I'm instead of that first, where the LLC would own the business trust or vice versa, I was actually thinking about just dissolving my LLCs because, as I said, each real estate rental is in a different LLC. I was thinking about just dissolving them and then maybe going the ministerial way, to help with combating homelessness, and then have everybody living there, just be basically, a member and then donate the rents.
Yeah, absolutely. You can structure it that
Okay,
way.
I can do it
Absolutely.
that way.
1000%.
Okay, and then I'll ask more questions on that when we get into the actual ministerial trust.
Yep, that'll be on Wednesday. And,
All right,
yeah, and asset transferring will be on Friday.
okay, thank you so very much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, Mia. All right, next we have Aja.
It's Ajare. It's my daughter. My name is Cindy, though. I don't know why
Aja.
I don't know why it came up under her name.
Okay. My apologies, but that's
That's okay. I'll try to fix it for tomorrow. Just a couple questions really quick. The documents that need to be notarized, I see where it says just like the first trustee. Do we just add the other two on those pages, or are we leaving it as first trustee and then adding them to that last page as
correct.
co-trustee?
It's the second
Okay.
option. So only the first trustee has to sign like the indenture and the schedules, and then all of the trustees have to be listed on their certificate because they're acting trustees and they're going to be binding the trust in certain things. So yeah, it would be adding them to the certificate.
Okay, cool. And then the second question, so my husband and I, we have a transportation, an LLC. Um, I was just wondering, like for the schedule A and B, how, because I know previously in the other videos, you said transportation and the whole liability situation. So I don't know, should I leave this for Friday maybe? Um, regarding that LLC, and do we include it in the business trust, or maybe there's another way to go around it? Because it is, I mean, we own our truck, you know, and I know you had mentioned the whole liability thing, and I guess trying to figure all that out.
Okay, so you have one business, and it's a transportation and it's a high liability business.
Hmm.
Do you have other businesses?
Not at the moment. We're in the process of that.
Okay. So when I was explaining that, I was telling people that if you have multiple businesses and you have a high liability business and a low liability business, you don't want them under the same business trust.
Okay.
So with you, that's not applicable because you only have one business, which is a high liability business.
Right.
So you have one business trust, right? And that one business is going to go under that one business trust. In the
Okay.
future, in the future, if you were to have other businesses, you're not going to want to add it to that existing business trust. You want to create a new business trust. With this
Gotcha.
business trust, you want to have the business trust hold the assets. So they're going to hold the vehicles and the actual company and the cash.
Okay. Do we have to change the name then? Like, how does that work under the business trust? For
Oh
example, the
yeah,
name is Freight Runner LLC.
yeah, no,
So,
no, everything dealing with the business stays intact. The only thing that you have to change is the owner of the business from your name and your spouse's name to the business trust name.
okay.
So
So
that,
any contracts that for example, we get contracts right now. So instead of it being under Freight Runner, it would now be under our business trust name.
no.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So the business trust is designed to protect the assets.
Okay.
Your,
Okay.
your, and it's going to take the liability, right? Or it's going to, so the business trust is there so that it can be liable and so that you don't have to be liable. So it's going to take the liability away from you. Okay, so that's
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Two, your business is going to operate the way that it's been operating. So all of these transportation contracts that you have are going to remain intact under the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I wasn't sure how we were going to apply that, but okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome, my darling. All right, next we have Nicola. Is it Nicole? It's a little weird. Nicole,
Hi there.
Nicole.
Sorry about that. I was just trying to unmute.
Oh,
I have
awesome.
a
How are
couple.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. So I just have a couple questions. The first one was about the grantor. Is it
Okay.
possible to use a foreign trust as the grantor?
Yeah, you can use an entity if you would like.
Okay. So what if the trustee of that trust is me and I'm the trustee of this trust that I'm building?
Yeah, then it's a
Is that
conflict of
problematic
interest.
when signing?
Yeah.
Because then,
Yeah. Yes.
okay. Okay. So is it possible to just do like a power of attorney, a limited power of attorney to have somebody else sign as the grantor? Because it's in a different name. It's not in my name. I'm just the trustee on the foreign. Could I
Yeah,
give
if you,
somebody
yeah, you
limited
just,
power of attorney to sign? Does
yes,
that make sense?
it does. Yeah.
Okay. So that's possible to do it that way.
Yes.
I guess I didn't understand until earlier when you said the grantor is the one who would be responsible for getting the trust EIN, so they have to provide their social.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay, so that just makes it a little more difficult with having to ask somebody to do that. I didn't know, because that kind of makes them, it's a tax liability now for them in a way.
So it's not a tax liability. So the trust is its own entity and it's responsible for its own taxes. So it's
Okay,
against
so
the terms and conditions of the trust for anything dealing with the trust to be taxed directly to the grantor.
so nothing would be put on the grantor whatsoever.
No, so it's just what? So when we go through the EIN application, the IRS
Mhm.
wants the grantor's information and the trustee's information. So
Okay.
both. So both, but they're asking specifically for the grantor social and not for the trustee social.
Right. Okay, yeah, I guess that's where I got stuck, is that I would have to ask somebody to provide their social to get the EIN.
Yeah,
So that's tricky. Okay.
yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. And then I did have another question. Sorry, I got lost here. I guess that's it. I'll yield for now. I'll come back if I
Okay,
can
awesome.
think of it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, next we have Kayana. Kiana.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
How are you?
Great. Hi. Great. You?
I'm great. My question is the establishment date. If we don't like get it notarized right now and we get it done later, will we need to change that date?
No, the establishment date is the date that the agreement happened, not the date that the contract was notarized.
Okay. And then my second question is, if I have a co-trustee and then if something happens with me, I'm the first, I can put them as the successor and I will have to
Yeah.
find another trustee. Okay.
So you can put them as a successor and then they will have to choose their successor.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, next we have Leon.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for the seminar. It's great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure.
Have a couple questions. Number one, can my brother be the grantor?
Absolutely, yes. As long as you know that your brother's not going to benefit from the trust, then absolutely.
Okay, good enough. Number two, it's me and my wife and I have 3 adult children. Should my wife be since I'm the first trustee, should my wife be the successor or should she be a trustee?
So it depends on when you want her to have power. Do you want her to have power now? Is she assisting and operating now? Or do you want her to have power when you become incapacitated or you decide to resign? When do you want her to have power?
Well, I mean, we've been married 47 years, so she's going to have power. But I'm thinking, I'm asking the question because I have a limited choice of trustees.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like she needs to be your co-trustee and have power now, and then you would have to choose someone else to be your successor because she won't be able to serve as a successor.
So one of my adult children, although they're beneficiaries, they can also be a successor.
That's correct.
Okay, then the problem.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign up for one of those volunteer positions as well. Okay,
Thank you. Appreciate
thank
that.
you.
Thank
See you
you. You're
tomorrow.
welcome. All right, see you tomorrow. All right, next we have Tanya and then William, and then we're gonna wrap it up for today. So we have gone over significantly, and I do apologize. Hi, Miss Tanya. You're still on mute.
Oh, I'm good. I'm sorry. I forgot to take my question was answered. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right, we have Mr. William. Mr. William, are you still available?
Can you hear me?
Yes, William. Wait, is that?
Marisol, I'm William's caregiver, and I'm
Oh,
speaking on his behalf, if I may.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're going through all of this, right? And I appreciate the classes, by the way, very informative. And we apologize if we're question is kind of redundant, but I came in a little later. And the question is, can the guarantor and be William, and can he also function as the primary trustee?
No, not with the irrevocable trust.
Okay. So, because I know he's asked a couple of people, and they were like, the grantor is basically the person that has the assets. So obviously he wants to be, you know, primary trustee, but who can we possibly name as the grantor? I mean, when we looked it up, a grantor is basically the person that has the assets.
So it
Even-
depends on the type of trust, okay?
Okay.
So first things first is that anyone can add assets to the trust. The second
Okay.
thing is that the grantor is the person who funds the trust. So that's why when we were going through the training, I showed you that the initial asset that is placed inside of the trust, the initial consideration is that $1, right? They hand that $1 to the trustee. And
Okay.
that asset is placed in the trust. And now at that point, anyone can add assets into the trust.
Got it. That makes sense now. Does that make sense to you, William? Okay. Excellent. So pretty much anybody at this point can be the grantor who actually deposits any fiduciary or funds into the trust. Okay. And then William is obviously the primary trust, and he assigns the actual subsequent trustees. Did you have any other questions for Christina? No? All right, then we'll that's all the questions he had, and I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Next we have Maria. Maria, do you still have a question? Okay, next we have Cece, and then we are all done for today, you guys. Cece, do you have another question?
Yes, thank you. If my only beneficiary is an only child, if once I pass, if they are the sole beneficiary or the successor trustee, there's no like age limits on on them getting disbursements or anything like that, would they just dissolve the trust if they didn't have uh, their own heirs to benefit from it, or create beneficiaries that they would want to name for the trust?
Okay, can you say that one more time? So if you have a beneficiary that's the sole beneficiary and they don't have any heirs?
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Would they just dissolve the trust, or I guess I think I just answered my own question. They could just make the beneficiary anyone. It could be a charitable organization or anything that they would choose to at some point.
That was the next thing that was going to come out of my mouth.
Okay. Okay, thank
Right.
you. And I have to say, I've been waiting for this since December. It's my, my work schedule has not permitted me to be here. And I just, called in happy and healthy and took the so I'm going to take some time off this week.
Yay, that's awesome. Okay, I love
Yeah.
to hear that. Well, I'm so excited that you're here. We have a lot planned for you for this workshop week. So today is only day one, and we already went like 4 hours. We're 4 hours in, so be expecting a lot of training for the remainder of the week. Okay, thank you.
It was well worth the wait. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So we are wrapping it up for today. So I'm super, super, super duper excited that you guys are here in the program, and I have a piece of homework for you. So the first piece of homework is please go into the online portal. So a lot of people, they rely on the emails. They don't go inside of the portal. So I want you to get familiar with the online portal, because that's where you're going to put in your login credentials and you'll be able to see the course. The course has foundational education which are like, I think it's like 7 or 8 training videos that just teaches you the foundational stuff about grantors, trustees, beneficiaries, protectors, successors, and stuff like that. Because I know that you guys are wanting to appoint those different positions. And so there's a lot of good information on there, okay? And that's where you'll also be able to access the recording. So this session is recorded. We're going to upload it as soon as it's rendered, and you'll be able to rewatch it if you would like to, okay? The second thing is that we have a private Facebook group for you guys. We also have a Telegram chat, okay? So obviously the Telegram chat is for the daily chatting back and forth. And on there we have a bunch of different sections for you, which have announcements and Q&As and things of that nature. So please go ahead and download it, get into the Telegram, and also get into the Facebook group, because that's where we post a lot of like announcements and master classes and stuff that we have planned for you, okay? And when you get into the Facebook group, please go ahead and introduce yourself, because the community wants to get to know who you are, okay? So go ahead, and if you're able to, you know, put a picture or a video just introducing yourself, letting us know who you are, you know, what you're all about, so that we can get familiar, because that's what we are doing here. We're building a community of trustees, and so your fellow trustees want to get to know you. And just like in the beginning of the call, how the trustees were talking about where they live and what city they're from and reside in, and if there's any other people that are in that state and city as well. So that is your homework for today. So go into the Facebook community and introduce yourself, please, please, please. You can also do an introduction in the Telegram chat, and go ahead and get familiar with your login credentials, watch those foundational videos, and then you also have access to all of the workshop recordings. Now, we're going to meet here tomorrow on Zoom, okay? So we're going to meet here in the same place, same time, same space. You're going to receive an email 1 hour before the workshop, okay? So in that email, it's going to have your Zoom link for Tuesday. It's not the same Zoom link for today, okay? You're going to have the templates for the private family trust, and the resources that you're going to need for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on setting up our family trust, okay? So with that being said, I will see you guys here on Zoom tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys have a blessed and amazing rest of your day. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.